The flight attendant's voice echoed through the cabin like a gunshot as Maya Winters clutched her infant daughter against her chest, frozen in place at the entrance of what she now realized was a private jet, not the commercial flight she had a ticket for. Rain pounded against the windows, matching the thundering of her heart as she faced the sole passenger, a man whose piercing blue eyes and tailored suit screamed wealth and power. She had exactly 30 seconds to decide: step back into the storm with her fever-stricken baby, or face the consequences of her catastrophic mistake. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. I'm so sorry, there's been a terrible mix-up, Maya stammered, backing toward the door as her daughter Zoe whimpered against her shoulder. The airport's confusing gate change announcements and her sleep-deprived state had led to this mortifying moment. We'll get off immediately. The flight attendant's perfectly manicured hand was already reaching for Maya's worn duffel bag to remove it from the jet when the man spoke, his voice unexpectedly gentle. "Let them stay, Angela." Maya's eyes snapped to him, certain she had misheard. The man closed his laptop and studied her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Not of her specifically, but of something in her situation that seemed to resonate with him. "Sir, protocol states," the flight attendant began. "I'm well aware of protocol," he interrupted, his tone brooking. "No argument despite its quietness. But I'm not going to send a woman and her sick child back into that storm. The Dallas flight boards at the same gate in 20 minutes. It was an easy mistake to make." Maya swallowed hard, shifting Zoe's weight in her arms. The baby's forehead burned against her neck, a reminder of why this mistake was so devastating. They needed to get to Dallas, where her sister waited with promises of a spare room and childcare, while Maya interviewed for a job that could finally pull them out of the financial quicksand that had become their lives. "Ethan Bennett," the man said, extending his hand after a moment of awkward silence. "Since it appears we're going to be sharing my jet to Dallas, we might as well introduce ourselves." "Maya Winters," she replied hesitantly, adjusting Zoe to shake his hand briefly. "And this is Zoe. She's running a fever, and I really need to get her to Dallas tonight. I'm so sorry for the intrusion." The name Ethan Bennett tickled something in her memory. A headline glimpsed on a business magazine, perhaps, or a news segment she'd scrolled past. But in her current state of exhaustion and anxiety, she couldn't place it. "Please sit down," Ethan gestured to the leather seat across from him. "Angela, we're cleared for takeoff." The flight attendant nodded stiffly, clearly disapproving, but unwilling to contradict her employer. "Yes, sir. We'll depart in approximately 5 minutes. As Maya sank into the buttery leather seat, more comfortable than any furniture she'd owned in the past year, she fumbled in her bag for the children's fever reducer she'd purchased with her last $20. Zoe fussed as Maya tried to administer the medicine, turning her face away from the dropper. "Here," Ethan said, reaching into a compartment and producing a chilled bottle of water. "This might help." "Thank you," Maya murmured, accepting the water and using a drop to cool the medicine dropper. The small kindness nearly undid her, threatening tears she couldn't afford to shed in front of this stranger. The jet began to taxi, its powerful engines humming with a refined quality utterly different from the commercial flights Maya had occasionally taken in her previous life. Before her husband's abandonment, before the medical bills, before everything fell apart. "Dallas is home?" Ethan asked conversationally as they ascended through the storm clouds. "No," Maya shook her head. "It's a fresh start, hopefully. My sister lives there. She's going to help with Zoe while I interview for a position at McKinley Healthcare." She didn't know why she was sharing this with him, except that the surreal quality of sitting in a private jet with a stranger who had shown unexpected kindness loosened something in her. McKinley, Ethan repeated, his expression unreadable. What position? Administrative coordinator in their patient advocacy department. It's entry level, but the benefits are good. Health insurance kicks in immediately. Maya stroked Zoe's dark curls as the baby finally settled against her chest, the medicine beginning to take effect. Ethan nodded, watching them with that same inscrutable expression. And what did you do before? The question hit a tender spot. Before her carefully constructed life had imploded. I was a project manager at Visionary Marketing in Seattle. I specialized in healthcare clients. Pride made her straighten slightly, a reflexive response to recalling her former professional identity. Seattle to Dallas is quite a change. Yes, well, necessity is the mother of invention, Maya replied with a forced lightness. Or in this case, relocation. Ethan's mouth quirked in what might have been the beginning of a smile. Indeed, he gestured toward a small refrigerator built into the cabin wall. There's food if you're hungry. Angela can heat something for you. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe. To our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. As if summoned by her name, the flight attendant appeared. Would you like dinner, Mr. Bennett? Yes, and please prepare something for Ms. Winters as well. And do we have anything suitable for an infant? Some crackers, perhaps, or fruit? The kindness continued to chip away at Maya's carefully constructed walls. She'd spent the past year learning that accepting help often came with strings attached, expectations she couldn't or wouldn't meet. I don't want to impose more than I already have, she protested weakly. It's already prepared, Ethan countered smoothly. Standard procedure for my flights. It would go to waste otherwise. Maya knew this was likely untrue, but hunger won, out over pride. She hadn't eaten since a hasty breakfast, saving her limited funds for Zoe's needs. As they ate, Maya trying not to devour the exquisite meal of herb-roasted chicken and vegetables too quickly, Ethan maintained a polite, impersonal conversation. Weather patterns between Seattle and Dallas, the latest exhibit at the Seattle Art Museum, safe topics that required no personal revelations. It wasn't until Angela had cleared their plates and retreated to the galley at the front of the jet that Ethan's expression changed, becoming more focused, more intent. Maya, he said her name carefully as if testing how it felt. Why were you really at gate B42? The Dallas commercial flight was at B38. She stiffened. I told you there was a gate change announcement. I must have misheard. There was no gate change announcement, Ethan interrupted gently. I was at the terminal for over an hour. The only announcements were for the Chicago flight delay. Heat flooded Maya's cheeks. I don't know what you're suggesting, but I didn't sneak onto your jet on purpose, if that's what you're implying. I'm not suggesting anything nefarious, he assured her, raising his hands slightly in a placating gesture. I'm just curious about the coincidence. Maya sighed, the exhaustion of the day, of the past year, really weighing on her. Fine. The truth is, I was desperate to get to Dallas tonight. My sister could only take time off work to help, with Zoe tomorrow and the day after. My interview is the day after tomorrow. The commercial flight I could afford left tomorrow afternoon, which would have been too late. She adjusted Zoe, who had fallen asleep against her chest. I was sitting in the terminal, trying to figure out if I could somehow come up with the money for an earlier flight, when I saw people boarding at B42. I honestly thought, I don't know what I thought, that maybe they'd started boarding early. I was distracted, worried about Zoe's fever, anxious about everything. I just followed the group. It sounded pathetic even to her own ears, but it was the truth. A sleep-deprived mother making a foolish mistake out of desperation. Ethan studied her for a long moment. And the ticket you showed Angela? Maya flushed, deeper. It's for tomorrow's flight. I just held it out. She barely glanced at it. To her surprise, Ethan chuckled. "I'm going to have a serious conversation with my security team about their protocols." The amusement faded from his expression, replaced by something more serious. "You took quite a risk. What if I hadn't been feeling charitable? Then we would have been escorted off, probably banned from the airline, and I would have found another way to get to Dallas," Maya answered, with the steely determination that had kept her going through the past 12 months of disasters. "There's always another way when you have someone depending on you." Something in her words seemed to strike Ethan. He leaned back in his seat, his gaze moving to the window where the storm clouds had given way to clear, star-filled skies as they cruised. At altitude, "You remind me of someone," he said finally, "someone I knew a long time ago." Maya didn't respond, sensing the statement wasn't really directed at her. After a moment, Ethan shook himself slightly and returned his attention to her. "Tell me about your work at Visionary. Healthcare clients, you said?" The abrupt return to professional topics caught Maya off guard, but she welcomed the shift away from her embarrassing admission. "Yes, I managed campaigns for hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, medical device manufacturers. My team specialized in patient-centered messaging, humanizing healthcare, essentially." Ethan's eyebrows rose slightly. "Impressive. That's a challenging niche." "It was rewarding," Maya allowed herself to say. "I believed in what we were doing. Healthcare can be so impersonal, clinical. We tried to bridge the gap between medical necessity and human experience." "And yet you're applying for an administrative position." The question stung, touching on her wounded pride. "As I said, necessity. The McKinley position offers stability, benefits, regular hours, things that matter when you're a single parent." Ethan nodded, accepting this without comment. He opened his mouth as if to ask another question, then seemed to think better of it. Instead, he reached for his laptop. "Please, make yourself comfortable. We have about an hour before we land in Dallas. The seat reclines if you'd like to rest." Taking the hint that their conversation was over, Maya adjusted her position to more comfortably hold Zoe, who had fallen into a deeper sleep, her little body no longer radiating quite as much heat. The fever reducer was working, thank goodness. As Ethan worked on his laptop, Maya found her eyelids growing heavy. The warmth of the cabin, the gentle hum of the engines, and the release of anxiety now that they were airborne and Zoe's fever was subsiding all conspired to pull her toward sleep. She fought it briefly, uncomfortable with the vulnerability of sleeping in front of this stranger, but exhaustion won. She woke with a start when the jet began its descent. For a disorienting moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Panic flaring until she felt Zoe's reassuring weight against her chest. The cabin was dimly lit now, and Ethan was no longer working on his laptop, but watching her with that same unreadable expression. "Sorry," Maya mumbled, straightening and brushing her hair from her face. "I didn't mean to fall asleep." "You clearly needed it," Ethan replied simply. "We'll be landing in about 15 minutes. Do you have transportation arranged in Dallas?" The question brought her crashing back to reality. She had planned to take public transportation to her sister's apartment in the morning. With this unexpected evening arrival, she'd need to find a taxi, an expense she hadn't budgeted for. "Yes," she lied, unwilling to appear any more pathetic than she already had. Ethan's slight frown told her he didn't believe her, but he didn't press the issue. Instead, he said, "I have a car meeting me. I'd be happy to have my driver take you to your destination." "That's not necessary," Maya declined automatically. "You've already been more than kind." "It's no inconvenience," Ethan insisted. "Dallas, at night, isn't the safest place for a woman traveling alone with an infant." Maya wavered, calculating the cost of a taxi against her dwindling funds. Pride versus practicality, the story of her life these days. All right, she conceded. Thank you. The jet touched down with barely a bump, a testament to the pilot's skill. As they taxied to a private hangar, Maya gathered her belongings, carefully transferring the still sleeping Zoe to her travel carrier. "May I?" Ethan asked, gesturing to her worn duffel bag. "I've got it," Maya insisted, slinging it over her. Shoulder opposite Zoe's carrier, the bag contained everything she'd deemed essential enough to bring for their fresh start. Clothes, Zoe's favorite stuffed elephant, Maya's laptop, and the folder containing her resume and certificates. The rest of their belongings would follow once she secured housing, shipped by her former neighbor who had kindly offered storage space. They deplaned into the warm Dallas night, the air thick with humidity after the rain. A sleek black SUV waited. On the tarmac, a uniformed driver standing at attention beside it. "Good evening, Mr. Bennett," the driver greeted them, opening the rear door. He didn't bat an eye at the unexpected addition of Maya and Zoe. "James will be making a stop before." "Heading to the house," Ethan informed him, ushering Maya toward the vehicle. "Miss Winters will give you the address." As they settled into the luxurious interior of the SUV, Maya provided her sister's address in the North Dallas suburbs. The driver nodded and pulled away from the hangar. "Thank you again," Maya said quietly, "for everything. Not many people would have been so understanding about our intrusion." Ethan was silent for a moment, his face partially shadowed in the darkened car. "Sometimes the universe puts people in our path for a reason," he finally said. "I've learned not to question it too deeply." There was something in his tone that hinted at a personal philosophy born from experience, but Maya didn't feel entitled to ask for elaboration. Instead, she checked on Zoe, who was beginning to stir in her carrier. "She seems better," Ethan observed as Zoe blinked sleepily. "Yes, the medicine is helping, and the rest, I think." Maya stroked her daughter's cheek, relieved to find it cooler than before. "How old is she?" 10 months, Maya answered, a smile softening her features despite her exhaustion. "Although sometimes I think she's going on 30, the way she studies everything." Ethan's own expression lightened. "An old soul, then." Something like that. They fell into a comfortable silence as the SUV navigated the late-night traffic. Maya found herself wondering about this enigmatic man who had shown such unexpected kindness. Who was Ethan Bennett beyond the obvious trappings of wealth and power? What had prompted him to help a desperate stranger and her sick baby? As if, sensing her thoughts, Ethan spoke. "I should explain something before we arrive at your sister's." Maya tensed slightly. Here it comes, she thought. The catch, the expectation, the strings attached. "I'm the CEO of Bennett Innovations," he said. "We're a healthcare technology company headquartered here in Dallas." The name clicked into place in Maya's memory. Bennett Innovations, one of the fastest-growing health tech companies in the country. They specialized in patient data management systems and telehealth platforms, revolutionizing how healthcare providers interacted with patients. "I've heard of your company," Maya said carefully. "Your telehealth platform was featured in a campaign I worked on last year." Ethan nodded. "I thought that might be the case, given your background, but there's something else you should know." He paused, seeming to choose his words with precision. "McKinley Healthcare is one of our subsidiary companies. We acquired them 18 months ago." Maya's heart sank. Of course. The universe wasn't delivering kindness. It was setting up an elaborate joke at her expense. "I see," she said stiffly. "So my interview is with a company I ultimately oversee, yes." Ethan held up a hand before she could respond further. "But I want to be clear, I had no idea about your interview when I offered to let you stay on the jet. That was simply human decency." "And now?" Maya asked, unable to keep the defensive edge from her voice. "Now that you know?" "Now, nothing changes," Ethan said firmly. "Your interview will proceed as scheduled. You'll be evaluated on your merits by the hiring manager. I won't interfere." Maya studied his face, trying to determine if he was being truthful. "Why tell me at all, then?" "Because Dallas is smaller than you might think, especially in healthcare circles. I didn't want you to be blindsided if my name came up during your interview or if someone mentioned seeing you arrive with me tonight." It was a reasonable explanation, but Maya still felt uneasy. Her one chance at stability now seemed tainted by this bizarre coincidence. "I don't want special treatment," she said firmly. "That position, I need to earn it on my own merits." "And you will," Ethan assured her. "Or you won't. That's not for me to decide." The SUV slowed as they turned into a modest apartment complex. It wasn't run down, but it was a far cry from wherever Ethan Bennett likely called home. "This is it," Maya confirmed as they pulled to a stop outside Building C. She gathered Zoe's carrier and her bag, then hesitated. "Thank you again. For the ride, for letting us stay on the jet. It was unexpected kindness." Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and produced a business card. "If you need anything while you're in Dallas, anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. My direct number is on the back." Maya accepted the card reflexively, though she knew she would never use it. "Goodbye, Mr. Bennett." "Ethan," he corrected her with a slight smile. "Safe travels on the rest of your journey, Maya Winters." As she climbed out of the SUV, Zoe now awake and observing everything with curious eyes, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this bizarre encounter had somehow altered the trajectory of her life. For better or worse, remained to be seen. Her sister, Leah, opened the apartment door before Maya could even knock, having been watching for their arrival from the window. "Maya, you're early. How did you—" Leah stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening as she glanced past Maya to the departing luxury SUV. "Whose car is that?" "It's a long story," Maya sighed, stepping into the apartment's welcoming warmth. "One I'm not entirely sure I believe myself." "Is that my niece?" Leah cooed, immediately reaching for Zoe, who offered a drooly smile in return. "Oh, she's even more beautiful than your photos, but she feels warm. Is she okay?" "She's had a fever, but it's coming down," Maya explained, setting down her bag and sinking gratefully onto Leah's couch. "It's been quite a day." "Clearly," Leah agreed, bouncing Zoe gently while giving Maya a pointed look. "Spill it, sis." "Starting with the mystery chauffeur." Maya laughed, the sound surprising her. With its authenticity. When was the last time she genuinely laughed? "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." "Try me," Leah challenged, settling beside her with Zoe on her lap. So Maya told her everything. The desperation at the airport, the accidental boarding, Ethan's unexpected kindness, and the final revelation about his connection to her potential employer. Leah listened with increasing astonishment. "You accidentally hijacked the private jet of one of the most powerful men in healthcare tech, and he just let you stay?" "Apparently," Maya confirmed, the absurdity of it finally hitting her, full force. "And then he gave me his personal phone number." Leah's eyebrows shot up. "Is he attractive?" "Leah, that's so not the point." "So that's a yes," Leah grinned. "Successful, powerful, kind to children, and handsome. Sounds like the universe is trying to tell you something." Maya rolled her eyes but couldn't entirely suppress a smile. "The universe is telling me I need sleep before my brain starts making up even more implausible scenarios." "Fine. Avoid the obvious," Leah teased, standing with Zoe still in her arms. "The guest room is all set up, and I put a portable crib in there for this little angel. Tomorrow we're going shopping for interview. Clothes, and you're going to tell me every single detail about Mr. Private Jet that you conveniently left out." "There are no details to leave out," Maya protested. following her sister down the hallway. It was a bizarre coincidence, nothing more. Mm-hmm, Leah hummed skeptically. We'll see about that. Later, lying in the darkness of her sister's guest room with Zoe sleeping peacefully in the portable crib, Maya found herself turning Ethan Bennett's business card over in her fingers. The weight of the heavy cardstock, the embossed logo, the handwritten number on the back, it all felt like something from another world. A world she had once been adjacent to in her previous life, but had never truly belonged in. She should throw the card away, cut all ties to this strange encounter, and focus on her interview, on rebuilding a stable life for Zoe. The last thing she needed was complications, especially complications in the form of a powerful man with connections to her potential employer. And yet, she carefully placed the card in her wallet instead of the trash. Just in case, she told herself, just in case. As sleep finally claimed her, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that boarding the wrong plane might have been the first right thing she'd done in a very long time. Morning light filtered through unfamiliar curtains as Maya woke to the gentle sounds of her sister singing to Zoe in the kitchen. For a moment, she lay still, savoring the rare luxury of waking naturally, instead of to her daughter's cries or the harsh blare of an alarm. The events of the previous night felt dreamlike. The private jet, the enigmatic CEO, the strange twist of fate that had connected her to her potential employer in the most unexpected way. "There's coffee!" Leah called, somehow sensing Maya was awake. "And this little princess has been fed and changed." Maya padded into the kitchen, gratefully accepting the steaming mug her sister offered. Zoe sat in a borrowed high chair, happily mashing banana between her fingers and occasionally finding her mouth. "Her fever's completely gone," Leah reported. "Whatever medicine you gave her did the trick." "Thank goodness." Maya kissed the top of Zoe's head, inhaling the sweet baby scent that never failed to center her, no matter how chaotic life became. "And thank you for taking care of her this morning." "That's what aunts are for." Leah waved dismissively, but her expression turned serious. "So, about last night, have you decided what you're going to do about Mr. Private Jet?" Maya sipped her coffee. "There's nothing to do. It was a bizarre coincidence. He was kind. End of story." "End of story? Maya, the man gave you his personal number. That doesn't happen by accident. He was being polite, or maybe covering himself legally since I'm interviewing with his company." Leah rolled her eyes dramatically. "You used to be more intuitive about people before." She trailed off, clearly regretting bringing up the painful past. "Before Daniel left me with a mountain of debt and a newborn." Maya finished for her, keeping her voice matter-of-fact to hide the lingering sting. "You can say it, Leah. It happened. I just mean you used to trust your instincts more. Now you overthink everything." "My instincts weren't exactly stellar when I chose Daniel, were they?" Maya countered, rinsing her mug in the sink to avoid her sister's concerned gaze. "Besides, my priority is this interview, not deciphering the motives of some billionaire CEO who took pity on me." Leah sighed but let the subject drop. "Speaking of the interview, we should head out soon if we want to find you something perfect to wear. My treat," she added when Maya started to protest. "Consider it a welcome to Dallas gift." 3 hours later, Maya stood in front of a dressing-room mirror in a boutique that would normally be well beyond her budget. The slate-blue sheath dress she wore was simple but elegant, highlighting her slender frame while remaining professionally appropriate. The price tag, however, made her wince. "It's perfect," Leah declared, appearing behind her in the mirror. "And before you say anything about the cost, remember that investment in appearance is just part of the professional game. You know this." Maya did know. In her previous life, she'd thought nothing of spending on quality work attire. It was part of projecting confidence and competence. But that was before every dollar became precious, allocated to essentials like formula and diapers. "I'll pay you back," she promised, smoothing the fabric over her hips. Eventually, Leah agreed. Easily, when you're settled with this amazing new job. Now, shoes. By early afternoon, they'd assembled a complete interview outfit, plus 2 additional business casual ensembles for Maya's first week of work. Leah's optimism about the interview outcome was unwavering. "Let's celebrate with a late lunch," Leah suggested as they loaded their shopping bags into her car. "There's a great little cafe nearby that has the best salads." The cafe was charming, with outdoor seating beneath striped awnings. Zoe, content after a bottle, watched the world with wide eyes from her stroller as Maya and Leah settled at a table. "So," Leah said after they'd ordered, "let's practice some interview questions. You're rusty after a year of diner work." Maya laughed. "Straight to business, huh? No relaxing lunch chat? This is relaxing and practical. Win-win." Leah's expression softened. "I just want this to work out for you, Maya. You deserve a break after everything." "I know." Maya reached across the table to squeeze her sister's hand. "And I appreciate it, really." They spent the next half-hour role-playing potential interview scenarios, with Leah playing a tough but fair hiring manager. Maya felt her old confidence returning as she articulated her skills and experience, recalling the professional identity that had been submerged beneath survival mode for so long. "You've still got it," Leah approved as their salads arrived. "Just remember to emphasize your experience with patient-centered messaging. That's going to be key for this position." "Ms. Winters?" The unfamiliar voice made both women look up. A tall woman in a crisp pantsuit stood beside their table, her expression professionally pleasant. "Yes?" Maya responded automatically, sitting straighter. "Olivia Reed, Chief of Staff at Bennett Innovations." The woman extended her hand. "I apologize for interrupting your lunch, but Mr. Bennett asked me to deliver these to you personally when I spotted you." She held out a manila envelope and a small paper pharmacy bag. "Thank you," Maya stammered, accepting both items with confusion. "How did you—" "Mr. Bennett mentioned you'd be staying with your sister in the North Dallas area. This cafe is one of our local favorites. Several of our executives frequent it." Olivia's explanation was smooth, but Maya felt a chill at the implication that Ethan Bennett had somehow anticipated her whereabouts. "Inside the envelope you'll find information about our childcare center at Bennett Tower," Olivia continued professionally. "Mr. Bennett thought it might be useful to have the option of bringing your daughter with you to your interview tomorrow, rather than having to arrange care. The center is available to all interviewees and employees. The pharmacy bag contains the specific fever reducer you were using last night. Mr. Bennett noticed it was nearly empty." Maya's cheeks burned with a mixture of embarrassment and indignation. Had he been watching her that closely, inspecting her belongings? "Please," I'd thank Mr. Bennett, but, of course, this is entirely optional," Olivia interjected smoothly. "There's also information about our healthcare initiative for single parents, which might be relevant to your situation regardless of the interview outcome." Before Maya could formulate a response that wouldn't sound either pathetically grateful or inappropriately defensive, Olivia had handed her a business card and departed with efficient grace. "Okay," Leah said slowly once Olivia was out of earshot. "That was weird, presumptuous, borderline stalkerish," Maya supplied, staring at the envelope and medication as if they might explode. "I was going to say attentive, but sure. Go with stalkerish, if that's your preference." Leah couldn't entirely hide her amusement. "Are you going to open it?" Maya hesitated, then carefully unsealed the envelope. Inside was a glossy brochure detailing Bennett Innovations on site. childcare facility, which did indeed look state-of-the-art, along with a note on heavy stationery. Maya, I hope you and Zoe are settling in well. The thought occurred to me that childcare might be a concern for your interview. Our facility is available to you if needed. Simply show this note at reception. The healthcare initiative mentioned by Olivia provides medical coverage for children of single parents during the interview and probationary period, before standard benefits would activate. Zoe would be eligible immediately, regardless of the interview outcome. I meant what I said about the universe sometimes, putting people in our path for a reason. Perhaps this is one of those instances. Ethan Bennett Meyer read the note twice, unsure how to feel. On one hand, the offer of immediate health care for Zoe was extraordinarily generous and addressed one of her most pressing concerns. On the other hand, it felt like an overreach, as if Ethan Bennett was inserting himself into her life based on one chance encounter. "Well?" Leah prompted, practically vibrating with curiosity. Maya handed her the note and brochure, then checked the pharmacy bag. It contained a new bottle of the exact brand of children's fever reducer she'd used on the plane, plus infant pain reliever, and a teething gel she hadn't been able to afford when Zoe's first teeth started coming in 2 months ago. "Wow," Leah breathed after reading the note. "Maya, do you realize what this means? Zoe could have health insurance starting tomorrow, even if you don't get the job." "But why?" Maya shook her head, bewildered. "Why would he do this for a complete stranger?" Maybe you're not as much a stranger as you think," Leah suggested, a speculative gleam in her eyes. "You said he mentioned you reminded him of someone. That doesn't explain. This," Maya gestured at the items. "Normal people don't track down someone they met once to offer health care for their baby. Normal people don't own private jets either," Leah pointed out pragmatically. "Look, maybe he's just a decent human being in a position to help. Those do exist, you know, despite your recent experiences suggesting otherwise." Maya wanted to believe that. Desperately wanted. To believe in simple human kindness without agenda or expectation. But the past year had taught her harsh lessons about depending on the goodwill of others, especially men. "I'll think about it," she said finally, tucking everything back into the envelope. "Right now, I need to focus on preparing for this interview." "No, fair enough," Leah conceded, "but promise me you'll at least consider using the childcare center tomorrow. It would make things so much easier." Maya nodded non-committally, her appetite gone as her mind raced with implications and possibilities. Back at Leah's apartment, Maya spent the afternoon polishing her resume and researching McKinley Healthcare, while Leah played with Zoe. The more she learned about McKinley, the more excited she became about the potential position. Their patient advocacy department was pioneering new approaches to healthcare navigation, helping patients understand their options and rights within an increasingly complex medical system. It was meaningful work that aligned perfectly with her previous experience, a rare combination in her job search thus far, which had mostly yielded opportunities that were either relevant but underpaid or adequately compensated but soul-crushing. As evening approached, Maya's phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. "Maya, this is Ethan Bennett. I hope Olivia found you without too much intrusion. I realized I should have asked permission before sending her. My apologies if it seemed presumptuous." Maya stared at the message, conflicted. How had he gotten her number? She hadn't provided it. As if reading her mind, a second text followed. "Your number was on the McKinley application. I should have been more transparent about accessing that information." Another apology owed. The acknowledgement of overstepping somehow made it slightly less unsettling, though Maya was still uncomfortable with the power imbalance it represented. After deliberation, she replied, "Thank you for the childcare and healthcare information." It was thoughtful, if unexpected. His response came quickly. "You're welcome. Have you decided if you'll use the childcare center tomorrow?" Maya hesitated. The practical benefits were undeniable, but accepting felt like crossing a line from professional courtesy into personal obligation. "I'm still considering options," she finally responded, deliberately non-committal. "Of course, the offer stands, no strings attached." The "no strings attached" phrase caught Maya's attention. Had her wariness been that transparent, even through text? Or was Ethan Bennett simply accustomed to people being suspicious of his motives due to his position and wealth? Before she could overthink her response, another text arrived. "For what it's worth, I meant what I wrote about the universe. Sometimes coincidences aren't coincidental at all. Regardless of your decision about tomorrow, I wish you success in your interview. McKinley would be fortunate to have someone with your experience and perspective." Maya read and reread the message, trying to decipher any hidden agenda. Finding none, she simply replied, "Thank you. That means a lot." She set her phone aside, determined to focus on interview preparation rather than the enigmatic CEO who had unexpectedly entered her life. Later that night, after Zoe was asleep and Leah had retired to her room, Maya found herself on her laptop, searching for information about Ethan Bennett. The business websites and news articles painted a picture of a brilliant innovator who had built Bennett Innovations from a small telehealth startup into a healthcare technology powerhouse over the past decade. More interesting were the rare personal details she uncovered. Ethan Bennett, 38, had never married. His philanthropic foundation focused primarily on medical access for underserved communities, with particular emphasis on single-parent households. Most intriguing was a brief mention in a profile from 3 years earlier. Bennett's focus on healthcare accessibility for single parents stems from personal experience. "My mother raised me alone after my father left when I was 2. Bennett explains, "She worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat, often delaying her own medical care because she couldn't afford both insurance and daycare. By the time her cancer was diagnosed, it was too late for effective treatment. No parent should have to make those choices." The article included a photo of a much younger Ethan, with a woman whose tired smile and determined eyes reminded Maya of her own reflection on the hardest days. Something clicked into place, his comment about her reminding him of someone. Perhaps it wasn't a former girlfriend or colleague as she'd assumed, but his mother. This realization shifted Maya's perspective on his offers of help. They weren't necessarily about her specifically, but about what she represented. A struggling single parent facing the same impossible choices his mother had confronted decades earlier. Maya closed her laptop, feeling both relieved and strangely deflated. If Ethan's interest was primarily driven by her situation rather than her as an individual, that simplified things considerably. She could accept the childcare offer for her interview without reading deeper meaning into the gesture. Decision made, she texted him one final message. "I'll use the childcare center tomorrow. Thank you for making that option available." His reply came as she was drifting off to sleep. "I'm glad. Sometimes accepting help is the strongest choice we can make. Good luck tomorrow, Maya. I have a feeling you won't need it." Morning arrived with a flurry of activity. Maya dressed carefully in her new outfit, applied minimal makeup to brighten her tired eyes, and packed Zoe's diaper bag with extra everything, anxious about leaving her daughter in an unfamiliar environment. "You both look perfect," Leah declared, snapping a photo of Maya holding Zoe in the entryway. My successful sister and her adorable mini-me off to conquer the corporate world. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Maya cautioned, but couldn't suppress a smile at her sister's unwavering confidence. "It's just an interview." "It's a beginning," Leah corrected, hugging them both. "Now go show them what Maya Winters is made of." The drive to Bennett Tower in Leah's borrowed car was a journey between worlds. The gleaming skyscraper dominated, the downtown skyline, its curved glass exterior reflecting the morning sunlight like a beacon. Maya felt increasingly out of place as she approached, despite her professional attire and polished resume. The lobby was a cathedral to modern corporate success, soaring ceilings, marble floors, living green walls, and a massive digital display showcasing Bennett Innovations' global impact on healthcare accessibility. Maya approached the reception desk, Zoe balanced on her hip. "Good morning," she greeted the receptionist, striving for confidence she didn't entirely feel. "I'm Maya Winters. I have an interview at McKinley Healthcare at 10 soon, and I believe my daughter is registered for the child care center today." The receptionist tapped briefly at her keyboard, then smiled warmly. "Yes, Ms. Winters. Everything is arranged." She produced 2 access badges, one for Maya and a smaller one that she attached to Zoe's diaper bag. "Jordan will escort you to the child care center first, and then to your interview." A young woman materialized at Maya's elbow, her friendly smile putting Maya slightly more at ease. "Right this way, Ms. Winters. The child care center is on the 3rd floor." The child care facility exceeded even the glossy brochure's depiction. Bright, airy spaces filled with educational toys, a dedicated infant area with cribs and rocking chairs, and staff who exuded competence and warmth. Maya found herself relaxing. Incrementally, as the center director, a woman named Gabrielle walked her through their security procedures and daily routines. "We have your contact information if there are any concerns," Gabrielle assured her, expertly taking Zoe from Maya's reluctant arms. "But please don't worry. We understand this is a big step for both of you." Zoe, typically wary of strangers, seemed fascinated by the colorful environment and didn't protest the transfer. Taking this as a positive sign, Maya kissed her daughter's cheek and forced herself to step back. "I'll be back as soon as my interview's finished," she promised, both to Zoe and to herself. "She'll be perfectly fine," Gabrielle assured her. "Now go focus on your interview." "That's an order," she added with a kind but firm smile that suggested she'd had plenty of experience with anxious parents. Jordan led Maya to the elevators after she'd finally torn herself away from the childcare center. "McKinley occupies floors 12 through 15, she explained as they ascended. "Your interview is with Caroline Weber, head of patient advocacy, on 14. Maya nodded, mentally reviewing her talking points and trying to focus solely on the professional opportunity ahead rather than worrying about Zoe or wondering if she might encounter Ethan Bennett in the building. The McKinley offices were sleek but warmer than the main lobby, with natural wood elements and comfortable seating areas interspersed among traditional workspaces. Maya was shown to a small conference room where a tablet on the table displayed a welcome message with her name. "Caroline will be with you shortly," Jordan informed her. "There's water and coffee available if you'd like." Left alone, Maya took a deep breath, centering herself. This was familiar territory. She'd done countless interviews before her life had derailed. She belonged in this professional environment. The past year of struggle didn't negate her capabilities or experience. The door opened, and a woman in her 50s entered with a brisk energy that immediately commanded attention. Her silver-streaked dark hair was cut in a practical bob, and her expression was analytical but not unkind. "Maya Winters," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Caroline Weber. Thank you for coming in today." "Thank you for the opportunity," Maya responded, pleased that her voice conveyed confidence. "I've reviewed your resume and application materials," Caroline began once they were seated. "Your experience at Visionary Marketing is impressive, particularly your work on patient-centered campaigns. What interests me, though, is the gap in your employment history. It's been over a year since you left Visionary." Here it was, the question Maya had been dreading but expecting. She could offer a sanitized version, glossing over the personal catastrophe, or she could be honest. In a split-second decision, she chose authenticity. "My life underwent significant changes," she explained evenly. "I became a single parent unexpectedly, relocated twice due to financial constraints, and prioritized stability over career advancement. Temporarily, during that time, I worked in customer service, which actually deepened my understanding of how people navigate complex systems when they're under stress, something directly relevant to patient advocacy." Caroline's expression revealed nothing as she made a brief note. "And now you're ready to return to your professional field?" "More than ready," Maya confirmed. "The experiences of the past year have only strengthened my commitment to helping people understand and access the health care they need. I've lived the challenges that many patients face: insurance confusion, financial constraints, difficult choices. That perspective, combined with my professional background, gives me unique insight into effective patient advocacy." Something shifted in Caroline's expression, a subtle warming, a flash of recognition perhaps. She leaned forward slightly. "Tell me more about how you would apply that perspective to our work here at McKinley." For the next 45 minutes, Maya found herself engaged in the most intellectually stimulating conversation she'd had in over a year. Caroline was sharp, insightful, and genuinely interested in Maya's ideas about making healthcare navigation more intuitive and supportive for patients. They discussed specific challenges in patient advocacy, innovative approaches to healthcare communication, and the evolving landscape of patient rights. "One final question," Caroline said as their allotted time drew to a close. "Why McKinley specifically? With your background, you could apply to numerous healthcare marketing positions. Because McKinley is doing the work that matters most to me," Maya answered without hesitation. "You're not just marketing healthcare, you're transforming how patients experience and understand it. That's the difference between selling a service and creating genuine positive impact." Caroline nodded, seemingly satisfied with the response. "Well, Maya, this has been enlightening. We have several other candidates to interview this week, but I expect you'll hear from us by Friday at the latest." "Thank you for your time," Maya said, rising as Caroline did. "I appreciate the opportunity to discuss how I might contribute to McKinley's mission." "Of course." Caroline paused at the door. "I understand you're using our childcare center today. How did you find out about that resource? It's not typically mentioned to interviewees unless they specifically inquire." The question caught Maya off guard. This was the moment to be transparent about her unusual connection to Ethan Bennett, but instinct warned that linking herself to the CEO might undermine her professional credibility. "I received information about Bennett Innovations' family-friendly policies," she answered carefully. "The child care option was highlighted as available to interviewees." It wasn't a lie, merely an omission of how exactly that information had come into her possession. Caroline seemed to accept this, nodding again. "It's one of our most valuable resources. If you'll wait here, Jordan will return to escort you to collect your daughter." After Caroline departed, Maya exhaled slowly, analyzing her performance. The interview had gone well, possibly even excellently, but Caroline Weber was difficult to read. Had her candidness about her personal challenges helped or hurt her chances? As she waited for Jordan, Maya's phone chimed with a text notification. "How did it go?" Leah's eager message read. "Good, I think," Maya replied. "The interviewer was tough but fair. We really connected on the substantive issues. When will you know?" "By Friday at the latest. Fingers crossed. I'm making celebration dinner regardless. You showed up and shined. That alone deserves recognition." Maya smiled at her sister's unwavering support. Regardless of the outcome, she had taken a significant step today. Not just professionally, but personally. She had navigated corporate towers and childcare centers, interviews and separations, all challenges that would have seemed insurmountable months ago. As Jordan appeared to escort her back to the childcare center, Maya realized she felt something she hadn't experienced in a very long time. Hope, not just for survival, but for thriving. Maya's reunion with Zoe at the childcare center washed away any lingering interview anxiety. Her daughter greeted her with a beaming, drooly smile and outstretched arms, babbling excitedly as if recounting her own adventures among the colorful toys and gentle caregivers. "She's been absolutely wonderful," Gabrielle assured Maya, handing over Zoe's detailed activity sheet. "No separation anxiety at all. She's quite the social butterfly." Maya scanned the sheet with surprise. According to the meticulous notes, Zoe had napped for an hour, eaten her entire lunch, participated in sensory play, and even made friends with another baby her age. "That's unusual," Maya admitted. "She's typically wary of new environments." Gabrielle smiled knowingly. Children often sense when their parents are pursuing something important. They rise to the occasion in their own way. The observation struck Maya deeply. Had she been underestimating her daughter's resilience? Had her own anxieties been holding both of them back? The thought was simultaneously uncomfortable and liberating. "Thank you for taking such good care of her," Maya said sincerely, gathering Zoe's belongings. "We hope to see you both again soon," Gabrielle replied, with a warmth that suggested she genuinely meant it. Jordan escorted them back to the lobby, maintaining a professional demeanor while cooing occasionally at Zoe, who basked in the attention. "Ms. Winters," Jordan said as they reached the reception area, "Mr. Bennett asked if you would be available for a brief meeting before you leave the building today. He emphasized that it's entirely optional and understands if you need to decline." Maya's pulse quickened. "Did he specify what the meeting would be about?" "No, ma'am, just that it would be brief and at your convenience." Maya hesitated, weighing her options. Meeting with the CEO immediately after her interview could create the impression that she was leveraging personal connections, exactly what she'd hoped to avoid by not mentioning him to Caroline. On the other hand, refusing might seem ungracious. After all his assistance. "I suppose I could spare a few minutes," she decided, curiosity winning out over caution. "Perfect. If you'll follow me to the executive elevator." Jordan led them to a separate bank of elevators, accessible only with specialized key cards. "Mr. Bennett's office is on the 38th floor." The executive elevator moved with silent efficiency, opening directly into a reception area decorated in muted tones of gray and blue. A striking woman with close-cropped silver hair looked up from behind an imposing desk. "Ms. Winters," she greeted Maya with a polished smile. "Mr. Bennett is expecting you. This must be Zoe," she added, her professional demeanor softening slightly as she regarded the baby. "I'm Margaret, Mr. Bennett's executive assistant." "It's nice to meet you," Maya replied, adjusting Zoe on her hip as the baby stared wide-eyed at the unfamiliar surroundings. "Please, follow me." Margaret led them down a short hallway to a set of double doors, which she opened without knocking. The office beyond was unexpectedly understated. Spacious, certainly, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Dallas, but furnished simply with clean lines and practical elegance rather than ostentatious luxury. Ethan Bennett rose from behind his desk as they entered. He looked different in this environment, more formal in a tailored charcoal suit, his authority evident in his bearing. Yet his expression as he approached them conveyed the same unexpected warmth Maya had glimpsed on the jet. "Maya," he greeted her, then smiled at Zoe. "And Ms. Zoe Winters, thank you for making time to see me." "Thank you for the invitation," Maya responded carefully, still uncertain about his motives. though I'll admit I'm curious about its purpose. Ethan gestured toward a seating area near the windows. Please make yourself comfortable. Can I offer you anything? Water? Coffee? No, thank you. We can't stay long, Maya said, settling into one of the chairs with Zoe in her lap. The baby immediately reached for a small decorative sculpture on the coffee table, and Maya gently redirected her hands. Ethan observed the interaction with amusement. She's curious. That's a valuable trait. He reached into his desk drawer and retrieved a soft fabric toy that crinkled when touched. May I? At Maya's nod, he offered the toy to Zoe, who accepted it with solemn deliberation before breaking into a delighted smile at the crinkling sound. I keep a few things around. For when employees bring their children to visit, Ethan explained, taking the seat across from them. Now to address your curiosity. I wanted to speak with you for two reasons. First, to ensure your experience today was positive, particularly with the childcare center. And second, to offer some context for my rather unorthodox involvement in your situation. The childcare center was wonderful, Maya assured him. Zoe seems to have thrived there, and it certainly made the interview process less stressful. I'm glad to hear it. Ethan leaned forward slightly, his expression becoming more serious. As for the second matter, I owe you an explanation for my interest in your circumstances. It's not typical for me to personally intervene with job candidates, and I want to be transparent about my motivations. Maya braced herself, unsure what to expect. When you mentioned being a single parent selling possessions to provide for your child, it resonated with me on a personal level. Ethan continued. My mother raised me alone after my father abandoned us when I was very young. She faced similar struggles, choosing between necessities, working multiple jobs, postponing her own medical care to provide for me. I saw an article about that, Maya admitted. Last night I looked you up. A flicker of surprise crossed his features, followed by a slight smile. Due diligence. Smart. He paused, seeming to gather his thoughts. What the articles don't mention is that my mother died when I was 16 because she couldn't afford proper preventive care while raising me. By the time her cancer was diagnosed, it was too late. I'm sorry, Maya said softly, instinctively, holding Zoe a little closer. That experience shaped my entire approach to healthcare technology and policy, Ethan continued. No parent should have to choose between their child's welfare and their own health. No child should lose a parent to a treatable condition simply because of financial constraints. His passion was evident, transforming him from the polished executive into someone more accessible, more human. Maya found herself responding to his sincerity despite her habitual wariness. When you accidentally boarded my jet with your sick child, looking exhausted and desperate, but still fiercely determined, you reminded me of her, of that same strength in the face of impossible choices. I couldn't help but intervene, just as I wish someone had intervened for my mother. Maya absorbed this, understanding now the source of his unexpected kindness. It wasn't about her specifically, but what she represented. An echo of his past, a chance to rewrite a painful narrative. I appreciate your honesty, she said finally, and your help, but I hope you understand why I didn't mention our connection to Ms. Weber during my interview. I need this position based on my qualifications, not because the CEO feels a philanthropic impulse toward my situation. Ethan nodded, seeming to respect her directness. I understand completely. In fact, I specifically instructed HR not to mention my involvement to the hiring managers. Your interview today was entirely on your own merit. Thank you for that, Maya acknowledged, relieved. Zoe began to fuss slightly, and Maya, instinctively, started to gather their things. We should probably go. My sister is expecting us. Of course. Ethan rose as she did. But before you leave, there's one more thing. I'd like to offer you access to the childcare center for Zoe, regardless of the McKinley interview outcome. It would be as part of our community outreach program, which provides childcare for select families in transitional situations. Maya stilled, the offer catching her completely off guard. That's extremely generous, but it's not charity. Ethan interrupted gently, as if anticipating her objection. The program already exists, funded by the Bennett Foundation. The only unusual aspect is that I'm personally recommending you, but the foundation director makes all final decisions based on established criteria. I don't know what to say, Maya admitted, the practical benefits of such an arrangement overwhelming. Her pride momentarily. You don't need to decide now, Ethan assured her. Margaret will provide you with the program details before you leave. Consider it carefully and do what's best for both you and Zoe. His phrasing struck her. Not just what was best for Zoe, but for Maya herself as well. When was the last time anyone had suggested her needs mattered too? I'll think about it, she promised, meaning it. Ethan walked them to the door, then hesitated. One last thing, Maya. Regardless of what you decide about the program or what happens with the McKinley position, don't give up on your capabilities. What you've survived this past year demonstrates extraordinary resilience. That's a rare and valuable quality, in life and in business. The words stayed with Maya as Jordan escorted them back downstairs, as Margaret provided a discreet folder with the childcare program details, and as they finally exited the gleaming Bennett Tower into the bright afternoon sunlight. In the taxi back to Leah's apartment, Maya found herself reviewing the entire surreal experience, from accidentally boarding a private jet to interviewing for a promising position to receiving unexpected validation from a powerful CEO who recognized her struggle because of his own painful past. Maybe the universe really did put people in their paths for a reason. Leah was waiting anxiously when they arrived, practically bouncing with curiosity. Well, how did it go? All of it, the interview, the childcare center, everything. It was. Maya paused, searching for the right word. Illuminating. Over dinner, she recounted the day's events, from her surprisingly positive interview experience to Ethan's unexpected disclosure about his mother. Leah listened with rapt attention, occasionally interjecting with questions or exclamations of disbelief. So he's basically offering you free childcare regardless of whether you get the job? Leah summarized, eyes wide. Maya, do you realize what a game changer that would be? Of course I do, Maya replied, helping Zoe with a spoonful of pureed sweet potatoes. But it's complicated. I don't want to be someone's charity case or pet project. Leah rolled her eyes. It's not charity if it's through an established program. And even if it were, so what? Pride doesn't pay for diapers or create opportunities for Zoe. I know, Maya sighed. I've been fighting so hard to stand on my own, to prove I can do this without Daniel, without anyone's help. Accepting assistance feels like admitting failure somehow. That's nonsense, and you know it, Leah said firmly. You're not admitting failure, you're demonstrating wisdom. Smart people leverage available resources, they build networks, and accept help when it serves their long-term goals. Maya blinked at her sister's vehemence. When did you get so philosophical about this? When I watched my brilliant, capable sister struggle unnecessarily for a year because she was too stubborn to accept support, Leah replied, her expression softening. Maya, accepting help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the strongest choice you can make for yourself and for Zoe. The phrase echoed Ethan's text from the night before. Sometimes accepting help is the strongest choice we can make. The coincidence was striking enough to give Maya pause. I'll think about it, she promised again, this time with less resistance. That night, after Zoe was asleep, Maya pored over the childcare program materials. The Bennett Foundation's family, Transition Initiative provided comprehensive support for single parents in career transition, including childcare, healthcare coordination, and even optional financial literacy coaching. Participants were selected based on need, potential for self-sufficiency, and commitment to professional advancement, all criteria Maya easily met. By morning, she had made her decision. She would apply to the program through the proper channels, neither rejecting Ethan's recommendation nor relying solely upon it. If accepted, she would view it not as charity but as a strategic resource, a stepping stone toward the independent future she envisioned for herself and Zoe. She texted Ethan her decision, wanting to extend the professional courtesy of a direct response to his offer. I've decided to apply to the Family Transition Initiative through the standard process. I appreciate your recommendation, but want to be considered on the program's established criteria. Thank you for bringing this opportunity to my attention. His response came within minutes, despite the early hour, a thoughtful and balanced decision. I've already informed the program director to expect your application. I meant what I said yesterday. Your resilience is remarkable, Maya. It will serve you well, whatever path you choose. The message left her with a curious warmth that she attributed to professional validation rather than anything more personal. Pushing the feeling aside, she focused on completing the program application before Zoe woke for the day. Thursday passed in a blur of activity. Maya submitted the Family Transition Initiative application, took Zoe to a local park, and helped Leah prepare for a dinner party with her friends that evening. The normalcy was refreshing after the intensity of the previous days, giving Maya space to process everything that had happened since their arrival in Dallas. Friday morning brought a call from an unfamiliar number. Maya answered cautiously. Zoe balanced on her hip as they prepared for another day at the park. Maya Winters. This is Caroline Weber from McKinley Healthcare. Maya's heart rate instantly accelerated. Good morning, Ms. Weber. I'm calling regarding the administrative coordinator position, Caroline continued, her tone giving away nothing. The interview committee has completed our deliberations. Maya held her breath, mentally preparing herself for either outcome. We'd like to offer you the position, Caroline stated simply. Your experience and perspective were exactly what we're looking for in this role. Relief and elation flooded through Maya. I'm delighted to accept, she responded, trying to sound professionally composed, despite wanting to jump up and down like a child. Excellent. HR will send the formal offer letter today, with details on salary, benefits, and start date. We're hoping you can begin next Monday, if that works for your situation. That would be perfect, Maya confirmed, already mentally calculating childcare arrangements, whether or not the Family Transition Initiative application was approved in time. One more thing, Caroline added, her tone warming slightly. The committee was particularly impressed by your candor regarding your recent challenges and how they've informed your approach to patient advocacy. That kind of authentic perspective is invaluable in our work. After the call ended, Maya stood in Leah's kitchen, momentarily stunned by the swift turnaround in her circumstances. 1 week ago, she had been working a double shift at a Seattle diner, desperately trying to save enough for the flight to Dallas. Now, she had a professional position with benefits, promising childcare options, and a tentative sense that perhaps the universe wasn't entirely against her after all. Leah, she called, unable to contain the news. I got the job. Leah's excited shriek echoed through the apartment as she rushed from the bathroom, still wrapped in a towel from her shower. I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Tell me everything. The sisters celebrated with impromptu dancing in the kitchen, Zoe giggling at their antics from her high chair. For the first time in over a year, Maya allowed herself to feel genuine optimism about the future. Her phone chimed with a text notification as they were settling down to breakfast. "Congratulations on the position. Caroline just informed me. McKinley is fortunate to have you." Maya stared at Ethan's message, uncertain how to feel about his apparent insider knowledge of her hiring. "Thank you. I hope this doesn't mean you influenced the decision." His response was immediate. "Absolutely not. Caroline reports to McKinley's CEO, not directly to me. She informed me as a professional courtesy. Because of your use of our childcare center, your achievement is entirely your own." The clarification eased Maya's concerns somewhat, though she was still adjusting to the interconnected nature of her new professional environment. Before she could formulate a response, another text arrived. Also, the Family Transition Initiative. Director called. "Your application has been provisionally approved, pending a final interview on Monday. Congratulations on that as well." This news brought fresh relief. With childcare secured, she could focus entirely on excelling in her new position, rather than cobbling together temporary arrangements. "That's wonderful news. Thank you for the update." She hesitated, then added, "And thank you for the initial encouragement to apply. Your perspective helped me reconsider my stance on accepting support." It was a small acknowledgement of his influence, but an important one for Maya. Recognizing when someone had positively impacted her thinking was part of her personal growth, even if maintaining professional boundaries remained essential. His final message was simple. "I'm glad. Sometimes we all need someone to help us see possibilities we've overlooked. I look forward to watching your journey at McKinley unfold." The formal offer letter arrived that afternoon, detailing a compensation package that exceeded Maya's expectations. The salary alone would allow her to rent a modest apartment near Bennett Tower, where both her new office and Zoe's childcare would be located. The health insurance coverage was comprehensive, with no waiting period as promised. Most surprisingly, the letter mentioned a signing bonus, unusual for an administrative position, that would cover moving expenses and initial housing costs. "This is incredible," Leah breathed, reading over the offer details. "Maya, do you realize what this means? You're going to be okay. Better than okay." "We're going to be okay," Maya corrected, hugging Zoe close. "Both of us." The weekend passed. In a whirlwind of preparation, Maya and Leah researched apartments, created a budget, and shopped for additional professional attire with the signing bonus that had already been deposited in Maya's account. By Sunday evening, they had secured a one-bedroom apartment in a family-friendly building just 3 blocks from Bennett Tower, with a move-in date of Wednesday. "It feels surreal," Maya admitted, as they packed her limited belongings. "A week ago, I was desperate enough to accidentally board a stranger's private jet. Now I have a career track position, childcare, healthcare, and an apartment. It's like some bizarre fairy tale." "Sometimes life changes in an instant," Leah observed, folding one of Zoe's tiny outfits. "One decision, one chance encounter, and suddenly everything is different." "I still can't believe how it all unfolded," Maya said, shaking her head in wonder. "If I hadn't been so sleep-deprived and desperate, if I hadn't walked onto that particular jet, if Ethan Bennett hadn't been the kind of person who would help a stranger in need," Leah added meaningfully. "Don't forget that part. Your courage and his compassion created this opportunity together." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "I suppose that's true, though I'm still determined to succeed on my own merits going forward." "Of course you are," Leah agreed with an affectionate eye roll. Heaven forbid Maya Winters accept that sometimes good things happen through a combination of her own efforts and the kindness of others. "I'm working on it," Maya protested with a laugh. "Baby steps." Monday morning arrived with a sense of momentous transition. Maya dressed carefully in one of her new outfits, a tailored navy pantsuit that made her feel polished and capable, and prepared Zoe for their first official day as part of the Bennett Tower community. The Family Transition Initiative interview was scheduled for 9 a.m., an hour before Maya needed to report to McKinley's HR department for new employee orientation. As they approached the now familiar gleaming skyscraper, Maya felt a curious blend of nervousness and confidence. This was the beginning of their new life, a life she had fought for and earned, with help she was gradually learning to accept. The program director, Dr. Elena Santos, was a warm but forthright woman who immediately put Maya at ease. "Your application is impressive, Ms. Winters," she began after they had settled in her office, Zoe contentedly playing with toys provided by her assistant. "You've demonstrated remarkable resilience and resourcefulness during an extremely challenging period." "Thank you," Maya responded, still uncomfortable with praise for what had simply been survival. "The past year has been difficult, but also instructive. I've learned a great deal about my own capabilities and priorities." Dr. Santos nodded approvingly. "That's precisely the mindset our program aims to support. This isn't a handout, it's an investment in potential. We provide resources to parents who have demonstrated both need and the determination to achieve self-sufficiency." The interview continued with questions about Maya's long-term career goals, her support systems beyond the program, and her plans for Zoe's development. Throughout, Dr. Santos maintained a balance between professional assessment and genuine empathy that resonated with Maya's own approach to life's challenges. "I believe you're an excellent candidate for our program," Dr. Santos concluded after about 40 minutes. "Your application is approved, effective immediately. Zoe can begin in our childcare center today, coinciding with your first day at McKinley." Relief and gratitude washed over Maya. "Thank you. This opportunity means more than I can adequately express." "You've earned it," Dr. Santos assured her. "Now there's one program element I'd like to discuss that wasn't detailed in the materials you received. Each participant is paired with a mentor, someone from our corporate community who can provide professional guidance and networking opportunities. Would you be open to such an arrangement?" "Of course," Maya agreed readily. "Any additional professional support would be valuable as I re-establish my career." "Excellent. In your case, we have a somewhat unusual situation. Mr. Bennett has volunteered to serve as your mentor personally." Maya froze, taken aback. "Ethan Bennett, the CEO?" Dr. Santos nodded, seemingly unsurprised by Maya's reaction. "It's uncommon, but not unprecedented. Mr. Bennett typically mentors 1 or 2 program participants each year, usually those whose professional backgrounds align with his areas of expertise. Given your experience in healthcare marketing and your new position at McKinley, it's a logical pairing." Maya's mind raced. The professional advantages of having the CEO as a mentor were undeniable, but the potential complications were equally obvious. Would it create an appearance of favoritism? Would it blur the boundaries she was trying so carefully to maintain? "You seem hesitant," Dr. Santos observed. "If you're uncomfortable with this arrangement, we can certainly find an alternative." "Mentor." Maya considered her options. Refusing might seem ungrateful or unprofessional, especially given Ethan's legitimate qualifications as a mentor in her field. Accepting would provide invaluable guidance, but might complicate her desire to succeed independently. "How would the mentorship work, practically speaking?" she asked finally. "Monthly meetings, primarily," Dr. Santos explained, "plus availability for career guidance as needed. The relationship is professionally focused and structured around specific development goals you identify together." The formalized nature of the arrangement eased some of Maya's concerns. With clear parameters and professional objectives, perhaps this mentorship could be beneficial without creating inappropriate entanglements. "In that case, I would be honored to accept Mr. Bennett as my mentor," she decided. hoping she wasn't, making a choice she would later regret. Dr. Santos smiled approvingly. I believe it will be a productive partnership for both of you. Now, shall we get Zoe settled in the childcare center before your orientation begins? As they walked toward the childcare facility, Maya found herself reflecting on the extraordinary series of events that had led to this moment, from desperate single mother to marketing professional with promising career prospects, from accidental jet boarder to mentee of one of Dallas's most powerful executives. The transformation was dizzying in its speed and scope, yet beneath the external changes, Maya recognized that her core values remained intact. Her fierce love for Zoe, her professional integrity, her determination to create security through her own efforts. These fundamentals hadn't changed even as her circumstances had dramatically improved. Perhaps that was the most important lesson of the past tumultuous year, that true strength lay not in refusing help or insisting on complete self-sufficiency, but in maintaining your essential self, while navigating life's inevitable storms and unexpected calms. As she said goodbye to Zoe at the childcare center, promising to visit during her lunch break, Maya felt a sense of rightness settle over her. The path forward wouldn't be without challenges, but for the first time in a very long time, she was walking toward the future with hope rather than mere determination, and that made all the difference. 3 months into her position at McKinley Healthcare, Maya stood at the podium in Bennett Tower's main conference center, presenting the Patient Advocacy Department's new communication strategy to an audience of executives, including Ethan Bennett himself. Her voice was steady, her slides polished, and her command of the material evident as she outlined the innovative approach that had been her first major contribution to the company. By reimagining how we communicate with patients navigating complex care situations, we've seen a 37% increase in program enrollment and a 42% improvement in patient satisfaction scores during our pilot phase, Maya explained, gesturing to the data visualization behind her. More importantly, we're hearing directly from patients that they finally feel seen and supported, rather than processed through a system. From her seat in the front row, Caroline Weber nodded approvingly. In the back of the room, Ethan maintained a professionally neutral expression, though Maya caught the slight smile in his eyes when she glanced in his direction. We recommend full implementation across all McKinley facilities by next quarter, Maya concluded confidently. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to address any questions. The response was overwhelmingly positive. As executives approached with questions and comments after the formal presentation ended, Maya felt a profound sense of professional fulfillment. This was what she had been missing during her year of survival mode, the opportunity to create meaningful impact through work she believed in. Impressive presentation, Ethan commented when the crowd had thinned. Your patient-centered approach is exactly what healthcare communication has been missing. Thank you, Maya replied, maintaining the professional tone they had established in their mentor-mentee relationship. Your feedback on the early drafts was invaluable. I merely asked the right questions. The insights were entirely yours. He glanced at his watch. Our monthly mentoring session is scheduled for tomorrow, but I wanted to mention that I've been asked to speak at the Healthcare Innovation Summit in Houston this weekend. Since your communication strategy aligns perfectly with the conference theme, I thought you might consider joining me to present our collaborative approach. Maya blinked in surprise. The Healthcare Innovation Summit was one of the industry's premier events, attended by leaders from across the country. Presenting there would significantly raise her professional profile. That's a tremendous opportunity, she acknowledged. But what about Zoe? The childcare center isn't open on weekends. The conference organizers provide childcare services for attendees, Ethan informed her. Alternatively, if you'd prefer to keep Zoe's routine consistent, the company could arrange for your sister to fly in and stay with her in your apartment. The thoughtfulness of having already considered these options touched Maya. Over the past 3 months, she had come to appreciate Ethan's genuine commitment to supporting working parents, not just through policies and programs, but through practical considerations that made professional advancement truly accessible. "I'll need to think about the logistics," she said. "But yes, I'd be honored to present at the summit." "Excellent. We can discuss the details tomorrow." With a brief nod, he moved on to speak with McKinley's CEO, maintaining the careful professional distance that had characterized their interactions in the workplace. Maya gathered her presentation materials, a smile playing at her lips. The opportunity was exciting, but more gratifying was the recognition that she had earned it through her own innovative work, not through any personal connection to Ethan. He had been scrupulous about that distinction, never showing her special treatment and sometimes being more demanding of her work than others might have been. Their mentoring relationship had proven surprisingly comfortable, focused entirely on professional development with clear boundaries. Once a month, they met in a conference room, never his office, with a structured agenda and specific career goals to discuss. He had been generous with his knowledge and network, but always in service of her professional growth, never hinting at any personal interest. Maya had been equally careful to maintain professional distance, despite Leah's persistent teasing about her CEO mentor with the suspiciously personal interest in your success. She was grateful for his guidance, but determined to succeed on her own merit, without complications. As she headed to the childcare center to collect Zoe before heading home, Maya reflected on how dramatically her life had transformed in just 3 months. Their apartment was small but comfortable, located in a family-friendly building where several other Bennett employees lived with their children. Zoe was thriving in the childcare center, reaching developmental milestones and forming adorable friendships with the other babies. And Maya herself had rediscovered her professional identity, contributing meaningful work while maintaining a sustainable balance with motherhood. None of it would have been possible without that fateful mistake of boarding the wrong plane. Sometimes she still marveled at the extraordinary chain of events that had led from that moment of desperation to her current stability. Zoe greeted her with excited babbling and outstretched arms when Maya arrived at the childcare center. At 13 months, she was walking confidently now, her personality blossoming more each day. "She's developing quite the vocabulary," Gabrielle reported, handing over Zoe's daily activity sheet. "She said 'book' very clearly today when we were in the reading corner." Maya beamed with pride, gathering Zoe and her belongings. "She's been practicing that one at home. Books are definitely her favorite things these days." On the short walk to their apartment, Maya called Leah to discuss the Houston conference opportunity. "Are you kidding? Of course I'll come stay with my favorite niece," Leah exclaimed. "I've been looking for an excuse to visit anyway. But more importantly, you and Ethan traveling together to a conference. Is this strictly professional or—" "100% professional," Maya affirmed firmly. "We're presenting on patient-centered communication strategies, not eloping to Vegas." Leah hummed skeptically. "You know, it's been 3 months of this mentor-mentee dance. At some point, you might consider the possibility that his interest isn't solely professional. And you might consider that not every story needs a romantic subplot," Maya countered, unlocking their apartment door and setting Zoe down in her play area. "Some of us are focused on rebuilding our careers and providing stable environments for our children." "The two aren't mutually exclusive," Leah pointed out. "But fine, I'll drop it. For now. Send me the conference details and I'll book my flight." The following day's mentoring session was focused primarily on preparing for the Houston presentation. They met in their usual conference room, with Maya arriving precisely on time to find Ethan already there, reviewing notes. "I've been thinking about how to structure our presentation," she began after their initial greetings. "Since the conference theme is humanizing healthcare technology, I thought we might frame our approach as a case study in using tech to enhance rather than replace human connection." Ethan nodded approvingly. "Excellent angle. We could demonstrate how McKinley's patient portal redesign actually increased meaningful interactions rather than reducing them." For the next hour, they collaborated seamlessly, building on each other's ideas with a synergy that had developed naturally over their months of working together. Maya had long since overcome her initial intimidation at Ethan's position and wealth, coming to value his strategic mind and genuine passion for improving healthcare experiences. As they wrapped up, finalizing the presentation outline, Ethan's typical professional demeanor shifted slightly. "There's something else I wanted to discuss," he said, his tone more hesitant than usual. "It's about the family transition initiative." Maya tensed instinctively. The program had been a lifeline for her and Zoe, providing not just childcare, but a supportive community of other single parents navigating similar challenges. "Is there a problem?" she asked cautiously. "Not at all," Ethan assured her quickly. "We're quite the opposite. Dr. Santos has identified you as a potential peer mentor for new program participants. Your journey from crisis to stability in such a short time is exactly the kind of success story that could inspire others." Relief flooded through Maya, followed by surprise. "Me? A mentor? But I've only been in the program for 3 months. Sometimes recent experience is the most valuable," Ethan pointed out. "You remember the specific hurdles and emotions vividly. That immediacy can be powerful for someone just beginning the journey." Maya considered this thoughtfully. "I suppose that's true. When I was at my lowest point, what I needed most was proof that things could actually get better, not just platitudes or abstract advice." "Exactly. Your story is that proof." Ethan's expression became more earnest. "You don't have to decide. Immediately, Dr. Santos will contact you formally next week with the details. I just wanted to give you a heads up, since it would add another commitment to your schedule." "I appreciate that," Maya said sincerely. "And honestly, I'm inclined to accept. If my experience can help someone else find their footing sooner, that seems like a worthy investment of time." Something like pride flickered across Ethan's features. "That perspective is precisely why you'd make an excellent mentor." He gathered his notes, returning to his usual professional manner. "The company jet will depart for Houston at 8 a.m. Saturday. I've arranged for a car to pick you up at 7:15, if that works for your schedule." "That should be fine. Leah arrives Friday evening, so she'll be settled with Zoe by then." "Perfect. I'll see you Saturday morning then." As Maya watched him leave, she reflected on Leah's persistent suggestions about Ethan's potential personal interest. It seemed unlikely he had maintained impeccable professional boundaries from the beginning. Yet occasionally, like just now when discussing her potential as a mentor, she caught glimpses of something warmer, more personal in his demeanor. Whatever it might or might not mean, Maya was determined to keep their relationship strictly professional. She had worked too hard to rebuild her life to risk complications. Friday evening brought Leah's arrival, bubbling with excitement about both babysitting Zoe and Maya's upcoming conference presentation. "Look at you," Leah marveled as Maya packed her professional attire for the trip. 3 months ago, you were selling your possessions for baby formula. Now you're presenting at a major healthcare conference alongside a CEO. It's like something from a movie. "A very strange movie," Maya agreed with a laugh. "Though I'm not sure woman accidentally boards private jet, gets job, presents at conference. Would make for compelling cinema. Depends on the romantic subplot, Leah quipped, dodging the pillow Maya threw at her. What? I'm just saying, these business trips are where things happen in movies. This isn't a movie, Maya reminded her firmly. It's my actual life and career, which I've worked incredibly hard to rebuild. The last thing I need is inappropriate workplace complications. Leah's expression softened. I know, and I'm incredibly proud of everything you've accomplished. I just don't want you to close yourself off to possibilities because of what happened with Daniel. Maya paused in her packing, considering her sister's words. Was that what she was doing? Using professional boundaries as a shield against potential hurt? Perhaps there was some truth to it, but her caution also stemmed from genuine career priorities. I'm not closed off to possibilities, she said finally. I'm just focused on establishing security for Zoe and myself first. Dating anyone, especially someone connected to my workplace, isn't on my radar right now. Fair enough, Leah conceded. Just promise me you won't automatically dismiss any genuine connection if it does present itself. Being cautious is healthy. Building walls isn't. I promise to maintain an appropriate level of openness to life's possibilities, Maya responded with mock formality. Now help me decide which shoes to pack. Saturday morning arrived with torrential rain that rattled the windows of Maya's apartment. The forecast showed a massive storm system moving through Dallas, potentially affecting flights throughout the morning. Maya's phone chimed with a text from Ethan as she was having breakfast with Zoe and Leah. Good morning. The storm is causing some commercial flight delays, but our jet is still cleared for takeoff. The car will arrive as scheduled. Maya texted back a quick acknowledgement, then returned to helping Zoe with her breakfast. The toddler was demonstrating her expanding vocabulary, pointing at various objects and declaring, "This!" with authoritative enthusiasm. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.